वेरी गुड इवनिंग स्टूडेंट्स। आज हम अल जजीरा में पब्लिश होने वाले आर्टिकल द रियल रीज़न इसराइल अटैक्ड ईरान रिटन बाय ओरी गोल्डबर्ग ऑन जून 15, 2025 को डिस्कस करेंगे, एनालाइज करेंगे। एज पर इसराइली ईरानियन कन्फ्रंटेशन मीन्स फाइट। Confrontation enters its third day. The casualty means death toll or damage made by war. Casualties on both sides are mounting. Mounting here means increasing. दोनों sides पे जो casualties हैं वो increase हो रही हैं. At least 80 people have been killed in Iran and at least 10 in Israel. ईरान में 80 पीपल किल हुए हैं, जबकि डेथ टोल इन इसराइल इट इज़ 10. डिस्पाइट द डेडली रिस्पॉन्स फ्रॉम ईरान, Israeli officials have continued to insist means जोर देना, that attacks on the various Iranian nuclear and military facilities were necessary. इसराइल के अभी तक इसराइल का जो स्टैंस है वो ये है कि ये जो अटैक्स है न्यूक्लियर साइट्स पे वो जस्टिफाइड है, necessary thing. A number of justifications have been broadcast to Israel public, but none explain the true reason why the Israeli government decided to carry out means do unilateral unprovoked assault. Assault हम attack को कहते हैं. अभी तक why have Israel attacked that they have not given the justification. The Israeli government claims that the strikes was a preventive one. Preventive मतलब एडवांस में स्टेप्स लेना, किसी को रोकना. Meant to address an immediate address means attain an immediate inevitable that cannot be averted, जिसे रोका ना जा सके. An inevitable threat to Iran's part to construct a nuclear bomb. There appears to be no evidence for this claim. Israel's strike was undoubtedly meticulously planned over a long period of time. A preventive attack must carry an element of self-defense, which in turn is generated by an emergency. No such emergency appears to have occurred. ये preventive नहीं, emergency कोई ऐसी नहीं हुई जो इसराइल को ये जवाब मिलता कि वो ईरान पर अटैक कर सके. Additionally, Israel has suggested that the International Atomic Energy Agency, a report released on June 12 that condemned Iran for material violation of its Treaty on Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons, NPT, commits until early 2000s constitute such an emergency, but even the IAEA seems to reject the claim. There was nothing in the report that was not already known to the relevant parties कि ऐसे कोई भी ट्रीटी में नहीं थी जो इसराइल को जिस चीज़ का पहले पता न हो. Israeli government has also suggested in direct relations to the notion of preventive strike. Preventive रोकना किसी चीज़ को, strike that it aimed to decapitate Iran's nuclear. Decapitate means stop or damage Iran's nuclear program. It is generally agreed by scholars and policymakers that Israel lacks ability means इसराइल के पास वो ability नहीं to destroy the program, वो ईरान के प्रोग्राम को destroy कर सके, especially if it attempts to carry out such strike on its own, ख़ास तौर पे जब वो ये चीज़ खुद अपने आप से करे. The nature of campaign as it unfolds also seems to indicate that Israel never meant to wipe out Iranians' nuclear activities. Israeli army has been bombing various military and governmental targets from missile bases to gas field and an oil depot. अभी तक Israeli army अभी तक उनके मिलिट्री और गवर्नमेंटल टारगेट्स को टारगेट कर रही है. उन्होंने मिसाइल्स दागे हैं गैस फील्ड और ऑयल डेपो पे भी. It also has carried out a string of assassination against senior Iranian military leaders. उन्होंने ईरानी जो मिलिट्री लीडर्स हैं, सीनियर लीडर्स हैं, उन पे भी they have made an attempt of assassinations. Ali Shamkhani, a former defense minister and a close advisor to Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khomeini, was among those targeted and is reported to have been killed, though Iranian state media and government are yet to officially confirm this date. अभी तक ईरानी गवर्नमेंट और ऑफिशियली उनकी डेथ his assassination alongside others reflects Farid Israeli modus operandi, means way of operation, the process how they operate the things. ये इसराइल का तरीक़ेकार है. Israel often attempts to eliminates means ख़त्म कर देना specific people in the hope that their deaths would bring about means produce, कि उनके जो डेथ हैं वो प्रोड्यूस करेंगी द अनरियल लिविंग ऑफ द सिस्टम एंड इंस्टीट्यूशंस दे लीड, मीन्स उनके जाने से उनके जो सिस्टम है वो डिस्ट्रॉय हो जाएंगे. द डेथ ऑफ शमा खानी कैन बी कंस्ट्रूड एज एन अटेम्प्ट टू sabotage means destroy, to sabotage talks between Iran and the US. In any case, assassination also seemed to indicate the existence of a thorough plan to demonstrate Israel's might at all levels of Iranian official lives and practices. ये भी इसराइल का अटेम्प्ट थी कि वो अपने माइट अपने पावर को शो करें. This is not a decapitation of the Iranian nuclear program. A third suggestion is that Iran has its heart set on jump-starting regime change in Tehran. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said this overtly when he called on proud people of Iran to stand up for their freedom from an evil and a repressive regime. The assumption that Iranians would simply do Israel's bidding as it bombs them relentlessly and unilaterally seem akin to the notion that if Israel stops and exterminates the Palestinians in Gaza to the required extent, they would rise against Hamas and remove it from the power. Even if that were the case, presuming that all these Iranians are waiting for an Israeli strike to move against the regime demonstrates a profound lack of understanding with regard to the forces driving Iranian policies. Israel is planning to win the supports of the people of the Iran in the hope that Iran is led by an autocratic rulers and Israel जो है उनकी जान छुड़ाना चाहता है. While many Iranians undoubtedly oppose the Islamic Republic, Iranians of all political persuasions are consistently patriotic, committed to supporting Iranian sovereignty and independence from any attempts by external elements to impose their agendas on their country. लोगों का objections अपने मुल्क से हैं, लेकिन they are not going to support any foreigners in the meddling in the affairs of the country. In fact, just as a numerous Israeli who would consider themselves uncompromising critics of the Netanyahu jumped to attention when the Israel attack began and are now vocally supporting the government. खुद इसराइल में कुछ ऐसे लोग हैं जो नेतन्याहू की पॉलिसी के अगेंस्ट हैं, लेकिन जब वो नेशनल कॉज की तरफ आते हैं तो दे सपोर्ट द गवर्नमेंट. Most aggressively, the members of the parliamentary opposition, so are numerous opponents of the Islamic Republic, now rallying behind the flag in support of Iran's violent sovereignty. Even parliament में जो ईरानी गवर्नमेंट के अपोजिशन लीडर्स हैं, they are also supporting Iran in against those who have violated their sovereignty, claiming that Israel is merely laying a groundwork for a popular Iranian rebellion by striking its at best a cynical manipulation. वो लोग समझते हैं कि ये जो इस सारे के पीछे Israel has their own notions and intentions. Israel has not struck Iran for all these reasons. अब ये reasons नहीं है. So what drove the attack? अब attack क्यों किया Israel? Amid the genocidal campaign in Gaza, Netanyahu is very much aware that his government is running out of options. Netanyahu को ये पता है कि उसकी गवर्नमेंट के पास और options नहीं. They are running out of options. The international community as well as regional allies have started to criticize Israel vocally. सारी दुनिया इसराइल को vocally they are criticizing and condemning. Some have also been preparing to carry out unilateral measures like the mass recognition of Palestinian states. The International Criminal Court's warrant of arrest for Netanyahu is looming, and the decision of the International Court of Justice about the legality of Israel's occupation is waiting to be fulfilled. Israel and its military have commonly carried out masses, denied them and have been found to be lying. अब काफ़ी स्टेट्स ऐसी हैं जो ये सोच रहे हैं कि फ़लस्तीनी स्टेट को वो रिकग्नाइज करें. इवन इंटरनेशनल क्रिमिनल कोर्ट ने जो नेतन्याहू की अरेस्ट के लिए वारंट निकाले वो भी दे आर आल्सो देयर. There is no doubt that Netanyahu planned the strike on Iran for years. सालों से उसने ईरान पे स्ट्राइक करने का सोचा. वेटिंग फॉर जस्ट द राइट टाइम. वो सही टाइम का इंतज़ार करा. द टाइम केम ऑन फ्राइडे. It is desperate attempt to rally the world behind Israel just as preparations are made to deny it the absolute impunity since it has overjoyed since its creation. कि ईरान को जो इम्प्यूनिटी इसराइल को जो इम्प्यूनिटी मिली है उसकी क्रिएशन से उसका फ़ायदा लेते हुए इसराइल इज़ वेटिंग फॉर द पर्टिकुलर टाइम. Iran is still considered as a potential threat by many leading powers of the global north. By invoking the known troops associated with unilateral lethal strikes action from divine promises to Holocaust, Netanyahu hoped to re-establish the status quo. Israel can still do whatever it wants. Israel अभी तक भी ये समझता है कि जो कुछ वो चाहता है वो कर सकता है. This is Israel's current definition of security, the most hollowed principle at its core. It is seemingly a political genesis of Israeliness, the site devoted wholly to the Jewish supremacy, which is only real way to ensure the integrity of Jewish lives. Security means that Israel can kill whoever it wants for as long as it wants and wherever and whenever it wants without paying any sort of price for its action. अब सिक्योरिटी का मतलब ये है कि इसराइल जब भी चाहे जिसे भी चाहे ख़त्म कर ले और उसके बदले वो कुछ भी ना करे. This security is what has motivated Israel's action from Gaza to Yemen. अब गज़ा से वो यमन गया, यमन से लबनान and Syria and now in Iran. अब ईरान की बारी. Such a security regime must expand continuously. Of course, it can never stop. ये यहाँ रुक नहीं सकती. By striking Iran, Netanyahu has gone for broke, stacking a claim for complete and absolute impunity for Israel as well as for himself in the Hague as well as the domestic courts. Hague is the headquarters of International Court of Justice. Will this be Netanyahu's salvation? क्या ये उसकी salvation है? Will the Israel public forgive him for his abject failures at home and horrid transgressions at Gaza? क्या लोग उसे माफ करेंगे? When observing the current sense of jubilation in the public Israel discourse, this may very well be the case. These long lines stretching from every open stores, hardware to food demonstrate that Israelis have entered a blank survival mode. A docile citizenry may be good for Netanyahu, but it portends ill from any attempts to build and defend a robust Israeli society.